Hello, and welcome to Weed and Grub.
You never fail to surprise me, Mike.
Is that good or bad?
I mean, when it comes to hyperbole, you are a master, I think.
Is hyperbole mean a exaggeration of the truth?
Yes.
Does it also mean what you maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't mean to be mistaken?
I think that you were spectacularly okay, so we were hanging with some friends, some new friends.
New friends.
You were outlining your digs, like just setting up like, oh, here's where it's like where I live. And then you're talking about like your neighbor and how your neighbor has a cat and you wanted a cat, but you invited the cat to like come across the balcony that you shared with your neighbor.
Yeah, and instead she put up a huge partition, like a cubicle between us, because she's like, that man will never have my cat in his place. And now we're kind, but we don't see each other.
Right. You're friends. But she was like, yeah, she put the stop to her pussy crossing that line.
Yeah.
But in the description of it, I loved it so much because you were like, yeah, we have this shared balcony. And I was like, wait, I've been to your place. Are you talking about the fire escape?
I was and still am.
And I was like, you would make a great realtor.
Yeah.
Yeah. That shared balcony is like, yeah, that's fantastic. Southern exposure, crown moldings, shared balcony.
Shared balcony. Turns out is a fire escape. I didn't know. Well, so I genuinely have always called it a shared balcony until you said it's a fire escape. And then it clicked in because one, you're right. But
it's got those ladders coming up and down. Yeah. Goes up the whole side of the building. There's not really a lot of place for you to put stuff. You're encouraged not to go outside.
I'm not allowed on it.
There's a big sign that says, warning, not weight bearing unless it's an emergency.
Yeah, it just has a bunch of my dead Christmas trees.
But it's definitely like in New York terms, that is a shared balcony in a lot of places. Like I felt you on that one.
But it's not a shared balcony. It's a fire escape.
It's a fire escape.
And I didn't know that. And now it feels great to know that I have a fire escape because had there been a fire, I don't think I would have used my shared balcony.
Oh, you wouldn't have gone outside for that. You would have just thrown a towel over your head and like shut yourself up in your bathroom?
Well, two things I think I would do in my place. One is I think I would wrap myself in the tub and try and stay fire safe that way. Mm-hmm. Or I've seen a lot of people just open the front door and sprint outside. Right. But now I know that I have a fire escape. So you might have just saved my life by calling me out on my bullshit.
I think your fire safety quotient just went up. I think my next step, maybe for your birthday, maybe for both of us, you know what? I will get us both fire extinguishers. I feel like that's something we should both have in our homes.
We absolutely should.
Do you have one?
If I do, I don't know that I do.
Great. I'm getting you a fire extinguisher.
Because I also, of course, take my fire alarms and carbon monoxide. I take all the batteries out of everything. Because especially in an apartment, like you can't cook a steak in a cast iron unless you take the batteries out of your fire alarm.
Yeah, that seared salmon is not doing anyone any favors at 11 o'clock on a Friday when you're setting off alarms. And I know because you cook late.
I do cook late.
You generally are going to be setting off those alarms between like what? Would you say like midnight and 3 a.m.?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just keep waving a dish towel over my phone. Okay, so I do want to debate you because I think what is the difference between a fire escape and a shared balcony?
Okay. What do you think it is?
Since I thought it was a balcony, I will say a shared balcony to me is something outside of the inside that two people share that they can go outside and be on.
Right.
That's a balcony.
I think in so many places it is. Like Romeo and Juliet, she came out on that balcony. It was just a place for her to be outside.
Right.
It didn't need to be fancy. I'm sure as a Capulet, it was probably like a very nice, fancy, wealthy space. But like, New York style West Side Story, that shit is a fire escape. It's true.
So the fire escape means the ladder going down to escape the fire.
Correct.
So when Rapunzel let down her hair, she technically made her balcony into a fire escape.
I think she just turned her hair into her fire exit route. I don't know if there was a balcony. Her hair was the fire escape.
Her hair was the fire escape. So am I right or wrong? Because I got laughed at by a whole car full of new friends.
I mean, it was the timing of it because you were talking it up so well, and then I
wanted to sound cool in front of these people.
You are cool.
And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, what do you think you have? And then we may as well have pulled over and smashed into a sign. Everyone was laughing so hard.
Sorry, I nagged your shared balcony, Mike. I didn't mean to. It's fucking cool, and it's a good smoking spot too.
No, it's not. Now you're you're hyperbolizing.
No, I'm just trying to be nice.
Yeah. So I have a fire escape.
You have a fire escape. Yes.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yep.
That's cool. There was a really funny time. Well, no, you had to be there for that mushroom trip. Anyway, what up, Mary Jane?
How's it going, Mike?
Awesome. Welcome to Weed and Grub, everyone. This is a podcast about comedy,
cannabis,
culture,
cooking,
calling shit out,
and
Mary Jane calling me out for a bunch of dumb shit,
and cosplay today.
Oh, it's super cosplay
and fantastical cosplay for things that we love.
Go to our YouTube and start watching our YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube. We just broke 300 subscribers and we just started it, so that's a nice start. But I'm looking for that 10K, 100K, million. I want a YouTube plaque.
Yeah, Mr. Beast, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
Today, if you're looking at our YouTube, you can see that we're doing a little cosplay in honor of something that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Mm-hmm. A little teaser.
If you're a fan of the show and you're a fan of us, you might be able to guess what we're doing. It was very funny to text you from Vegas and be like, I have the dumbest idea. And you'd be like, hit me with it. It can't be any dumber than this fire escape thought you had. And I was like, okay.
Well, I knew that you were tripping in Vegas while I was like doing some, late night rambling around my house because I got that text and I was like, number one, fucking awesome that you're hanging in Vegas by yourself and thinking of us. And the next time we record, I love that. Like thinking of fun ways to have a good time on Weed and Grub. And number two, how many drugs are you on?
I was on a lot of drugs. I was on a handful of them.
What happened in Vegas?
Well, a lot.
Okay.
But also very little. Like,
Perfect.
I think when people picture Vegas, they picture a hangover-esque, crazy coke-fueled, fucking in the bathroom, pulling panties to the side, doing cocaine with the bathroom attendant time.
Ooh.
And is that yours?
It sounded kind of hot. I don't know. The panties to the side was just so specific. It just took me like down into like some very like Steven Soderbergh-esque flash in my brain where I was like, okay.
That's where I got it from.
All right, what are we doing? Okay.
Yeah. Do you know that movie? I think Natalie Portman plays a stripper and it also has Clive Owen. It used to be a great stage play as well.
I did not see it. I do know what you're talking about, but I'm not familiar with it.
Oh, it's the hottest movie. Clive's a hunk.
He's such a fucking hunk.
Portman's a babe.
Yeah.
And it's such a good movie, but that's what I was picturing when I talked about panties to the side was the lap dance scene between Clive Owen and Natalie Portman in that film.
Great.
And I think it's a Soderbergh.
Okay.
So my version of Vegas is not that. When I'm going through a real hard time and I need to escape, I need to reset, I need to kind of unpack whatever I'm carrying and I don't really have anywhere to put it. I go to the Cosmopolitan for a couple days. I'm a gold member, not a big flex. There's also platinum, not there yet. And I get a nice room. I do the move where I get a like terrace and then I give the bell person $20 and then I always get a 1-bedroom with a tub and a
You hit that upgrade with the $20 slide, which I learned from you. Will you tell because I learned that from you. You had learned it on TikTok, I think. And when we went to Vegas together and you pulled that off, I couldn't believe it actually worked.
Yeah, it's a great move. Also, I will say, sorry, I'm trying to not be low energy in this one. I have been on drugs for 2 weeks and I'm really trying to bring a lot to the table.
Okay, great.
So every time you go to Vegas, just get the room you can afford and then be a really nice person, be very chill. Get there early. Don't get there at like 4 p.m. when your check-in is at 3. Get there at 1 p.m. Treat yourself to a full day in Vegas. And when you hand them your ID and your credit card for incidentals, also have a little 20 in there. And they'll always call up and see if they have an upgrade available for you because cash is king. And in a place like Vegas where anything is truly possible, a little bit of cash and a lot of kindness goes an incredibly long way.
Definitely. I've seen it work. I've seen you be just so nice and unassuming and friendly. And like producer Mark just said, the $20 sandwich, I've seen it work. And, I'm sure that it's a pleasure for hotel staff to, instead of have someone complain about something and look to get that upgrade or that, free thing or whatever, to have someone be like, actually, I'm just going to try my luck and see if this $20 will like make it happen. That sounds nice to me. It doesn't sound presumptuous at all.
Thank you, because the person next to me when I checked in was this like flat-footed, beer-bellied, shoeless wonder who was stomping from hotel check-in person to hotel check-in person because they were on the phone, and he's like, this guy's been on the phone for 7 minutes trying to help me, and he goes around, he's like, can anyone help me? Can anyone help me? And they gave him no upgrade. They gave him like a shit room. He was a real...
Why did he not have shoes, do you think? Was he like coming from the pool or something?
If he was, he should have stayed there and calmed the fuck down, because nobody deserves to be treated like that.
Check-in are the only people who don't make tips, says producer Mark, which is it totally fucking works. It's I've seen it work, and it is also, I would say that check-in people are arguably, as the front lines, the people who take the most in the neck. So
100%.
Great. Yeah, slip him that $20 and see what happens, because it was freaking cool to watch.
Well, on that tip. I never left money for the maids and turnover service until you and I started touring for Weed and Grub. That never crossed my mind to like leave a 10 on a table when you leave a place. And I do it all the time now, but it never occurred to me.
Definitely something that I learned from traveling, and also like just depending on how many nights you stay and how many turn down services you get, you can choose to, like, I always try to leave, if I've stayed a couple of nights, a 20, and if they do more turn downs than that, obviously you can choose to leave more, but yeah, it's just nice.
It is.
It's nice to, those are the people who are making things nice for you. So I was a tipped employee for many, many, many years in a few different jobs, and you live off those. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm in Vegas. I get the room upgrade. I've got a personal fire escape with no ladder, or what would you call that?
A balcony.
Okay. Now I'm all confused.
A big terrace.
Of like, is it a terrace? Is a balcony? I gotta stop this. Oh my God.
Dude.
Moving on.
Okay, yeah. A balcony is like a small little sort of jutting out from a window or a doorway. A terrace would be a wraparound situation like you have at the Cosmo, where you can actually walk out. Maybe there's chairs and tables out there. A patio is something that juts out from your house that is on the ground level. What else can we go through here? Terrace, balcony, patio, deck. A deck is usually off the back. Also going to be at ground level, similar to a patio.
But a little raised up.
Sure. But a balcony is up high, and it's going to be off a door or window, and it's going to permit one or two people to walk outside. A terrace is going to be a larger situation, generally kind of like wrapped around part or a whole of the corner of the home.
So I had a terrace.
Great. Let us never do this again.
Is this your first time listening?
Oh my God.
Probably also your last time listening.
Yeah, real estate and hotel rating podcast, Weed and Grub. Great time. Let me light some weed here so we can at least like sage some of that away. Hang on a second.
And so I'm up in my place. I unpack, and I immediately, I had brought a bottle of Tito's, some chili cheese Fritos, a big thing of white cheddar popcorn, a pack of Red Bulls, and a big thing of water. And then I had also brought a bunch of weed and a bunch of mushrooms.
Great.
And what I did in Vegas for 2 days, if I wasn't playing Buffalo slots, shout out Buffalo.
Buffalo, great big buff.
Love a buff.
Yep.
Love a buff. Treated me right. I walked out of there $160 up.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, it felt
Love
good.
the buffs.
Got some nice stampedes.
Hot buff action.
But if I wasn't down there doing that, I was in my room on mushrooms, smoking weed, and watching documentaries on Showtime in the Cosmo. And a lot of people like kind of have made fun of me, and they're like, you went all the way to Vegas to watch Showtime? And one, I don't have Showtime. So yeah, I did. And two, it is exactly my safe place because I don't have anywhere to be. I have nothing to do.
Yes.
I can live in privacy, or I can be out in this crazy fucking psychedelic swirl. But either way, all bets are off. There are no rules. And it really just allows me to like unfurl a lot of pain and anger and sadness and turn it into productive. Like, how can I use this as fuel? But to do that, I need to take a bunch of drugs and watch a Rick Rubin documentary and a Kobe Bryant documentary and be on mushrooms.
I love that you know what you need to reset and unfurl, and that since you and I have known each other, you've done this a few times now. You're like, it's time for me to just go to Vegas. And I totally get it, because what I think I'm hearing is that you use the neutrality of that space as a repository for whatever it is that you can just kind of leave behind. Like you're like a bit of a snake shedding its skin, and you want to shed the skin in a space where you don't need to worry about energetically cleaning it up, right? Like, you know that the swirl of Vegas is that whole room is going to be changed and cleaned and nice and fresh for someone after you leave. And it's not your responsibility to like, you know, like if you're doing that stuff at your house, you're always going to leave some energetic imprint there, right?
Absolutely. And I really did like baptize myself this time because I had that like beautiful tub that they hooked me up with. And so, you know, I filled that baby with super hot water, poured myself a Red Bull and vodka, ate another 0.5 gram of mushrooms, opened up my terrace glass door, lit a joint, put on Fred again, and just like soaked in that tub and kind of like dunked my head up and under for like a good half hour until I felt free.
Is this tub, can I ask you some questions about the tub?
Yeah, this is the tub corner.
Okay, tub corner. Like, is this like a kind of like full up to your chin, water, fully submerged kind of situation?
They won't let you do that because of the drugs that you're probably on in Vegas. Because there has to be an automatic drain release for those tubs. Otherwise, you might go under and never come back up, right?
Sure,
so
sure.
you
There's
need
plenty of sad stories like that. But I just want to know about
Yeah.
your submersion level, not necessarily think about sad people who died in bathtubs in Vegas. But like,
sorry.
were you did you feel like you were like floating in the water? Were you just kind of like your butt's wet and your knees are sticking out and your chest hair is getting kind of cold? Like, how submerged were you?
The chest hair is smooth down.
Great.
It's all going one direction downriver.
Okay.
I'm up to my neck.
Great.
And I keep just going under, almost like in that movie where the woman is under the bathtub and she opens her eyes and it gets real scary.
Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction.
Glenn Close and Fatal Attraction.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm fatal attractioning myself.
Single bubble escaping from your nose before you leap back and
Plink.
Plink.
Exactly. And then I come back up, I grab my vodka, take a sip.
Yep.
I turn up Fred again. I say, hey, Siri, run it back, turn it up. And then I relight that joint. And then once the beauty of Vegas too is that you're allowed to do all of this in your apartment just as much as you're allowed to do it in a hotel or anywhere else that you want to give yourself permission. But God damn it, when you get out of that hot fucking bath and then you walk over and you have this powerful cold water shower that hits you, and then you walk out of that and you pull this terry cloth robe out of a cosmopolitan closet, wrap yourself in that robe, and then look out over the strip, like it feels fucking free. And I don't know.
Pretend you're like a young king.
Exactly.
Looking over your domain.
Oh, a pinky ring grows out of my finger. All of a sudden my hair is slicked back to the side and I'm wearing a tux and Pacino's like, you look fucking good.
And then later when your whole night's done and you slide into those crisp white sheets. Ooh, that's my favorite feeling.
Absolutely.
After you've been running around all night and then you just get into those hotel sheets. No matter how many times I wash and dry and like make my sheets as pristine as possible, there's nothing I like better than a freshly made bed. You can't get the hotel sheet situation at your house.
Not at all.
Oh my God. Is your phone talking to me because I just said something about high
Siri just said, got it. Siri needs
Your
a
Siri
break.
is responding to my sheet desires. Got it.
Could
Okay,
use
Siri,
that
my
with all
birthday's
the
April
weird
5th.
shit Michael asks. Yeah.
My birthday's April 5th. I would like some crisp hotel sheets for that birthday this year. Thank you so much. Thank you, Siri. Wild.
Sheets coming. The last thing I want to say about Vegas is actually two things. The first thing is I hope everybody has that place for themselves that they can go that feels like a sanctuary, for better or for worse, to celebrate and not celebrate, whatever the opposite of celebrate is. I hope everyone has that sanctuary place for themselves.
Wait, you say sanctuary for better or for worse, to celebrate and not celebrate? There's a lot of double talk in there. I'm not hearing what you're saying exactly, I think.
So this one was a not celebrate sanctuary.
Got it.
When I record my album March 30th at the Hollywood Improv, directed by producer Mark, and you're going to be there as well.
I will.
After I record that album, we're talking about going back to Vegas and going to the Cosmo for a couple days, and that will be a celebration sanctuary. And so for me, the duality, like for me, the Cosmo in Vegas is both.
This for you was just a sanctuary of safety to reset and restore and get to a neutral place because you were like just needing some quiet.
Yeah, look, I mean, if we're going to really talk about, I was in bed for 5 days and you really came through and really tried to help me, but you know, you got to help yourself too. So if you're going to be in bed for 5 fucking days, not showering, not staying clean, not eating, not doing anything, you know, it only gets deeper the further you dig. So you got to do whatever you can to get out of it. So it is what it is.
Well, thank you for being open about it. Honestly, like that's one of the things that, when I listen to people talk about their various, like the ways that they address anxiety or depression or all that kind of stuff, everything is such a singularly personal. There is no one thing works for anyone but you kind of version. And so I think it's just good and also valuable for me to hear what works for you. And specifically one thing that I've learned is like, it doesn't work for you to have anyone show up and like jolly you out or like try and sort of like shore you up in any way. You're like, I just kind of need to do my own thing, and including going and being by myself for a couple days. So
100%.
It's really good to know like what is helpful.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's leaving you alone.
More times than not it is.
Right.
Especially because I grew up in a family where I spent a lot of time alone in my room, or a lot of time trying to like handle my own issues because it wasn't possible for other people to handle them for me with me.
I think what's hard though sometimes is that you always want to make sure that the person, like whoever it is that you are trying to be to that person, like you just want them to know you're there and that you are supporting in whatever way you can. And sometimes when you can't do anything, that feels it's like then you make it about yourself and you're like, but I'm sad because I can't help. And you and I kind of had a conversation like that where you were like, listen, this isn't actually anything to do with you right now. And like, you're great, but I got to go. And I was like, okay, that's good for me to understand and know. And also to have just been communicative about with you. Like, it wasn't like even a difficult discussion. It was just like, I needed to kind of hear like, there's not much you can do and this isn't about you.
Yes.
And I was like, got it.
Yes.
Got it.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for talking about it.
Yeah, which actually brings me to my last Vegas point, because I feel like we've been on me for so long.
And everyone watching the YouTube is like, why are they wearing those things?
Well, you just talk about it already.
What's happening? They look crazy. What are they going to do? Okay.
Because they pump pure oxygen throughout the hotel, I'm never hungover. I'm never ate up in any way from all the mushrooms and indulgence and everything else. You know, the worst that happens is I eat too much mumafuku and, I go into a salt coma. But then you wake up the next day, red blood cells full, pure oxygen pumping through the veins. You're younger, you're spicier, you're more energetic than ever, and you have all the energy to do it again.
When you talk about your red blood cells in the oxygenated environment of the casino, when you said that when you came back, I immediately pictured a bunch of like inflatable like water wings or like inner tubes or something who like get all kind of like flabby and they're like floating down on the river, like just blah. But then you go and you puff them up and then it's like your whole blood is just a river of these like happy puffed up inner tubes all bumping into each other and being like, yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Cool. Well, so that's Vegas, and thank you for asking me about it.
And you had the idea for this whole situation when you were there, and you texted me about it at like 2 a.m.
I texted you about that, and I also want to do a public shout out to you because while I was on a bunch of mushrooms in Vegas, technically partying my ass off because I was doing drugs in a Vegas hotel, you were handling our podcast and writing all of the copy, editing it, uploading it, and truly like handling our business. So I just want to say thank you, Mary Jane, for letting me go shoot to the moon and back while you handled what was here on Earth.
That is what we do for each other all the time. Super down to do it whenever you need me to do, just like you've done it for me so many times. So
cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
And that's where I came up with this.
Okay. Are we getting on to that? And
yeah, we must. Okay. I don't even know. Oh my God. It's been so...
We've just been sitting here for 20 plus minutes with these loofahs.
Yeah.
So I think you should intro it because it was your idea.
I'm infected.
Yeah.
And I got Mary Jane infected.
You got me infected.
I bet you.
It was the cordyceps in my blood. It's crazy. We're learning all about it.
There's one episode left. I thought we were going to make it all the way through The Last of Us without getting infected. But damn it, we got.
Yeah, I just ate the mushrooms. I just forgot and ate mushrooms. I've been microdosing and it turns out now I'm infected. The Last of Us is so incredible as a piece of TV goes. Like, those are the clickers. For anyone who's not watching, you'll find out they're scary. There's all kinds of different infected in the show.
I'm a bit of a bloater this week too.
You are?
Yeah, as far as all the hamburgers and everything else I've been doing on the road.
Yeah,
I'm a bit of a bloator
all
as
that
well.
Salt and sodium and I'm just a clicker. I'm still I haven't descended to the bloater phase yet, but fuck man, that show, the last time I watched a show like this where I would like make sure that I didn't read anything or like, not miss an episode. Like I'm watching it on the Sunday. Hopefully if you and I can get together, we're doing it together. I truly think the last time I did this might've been with Lost.
Wow.
Like a long ass time. I was a Lost fanatic.
And that was another cultural phenomenon like this. Like, I skipped Game of Thrones, but I feel like this is in the same conversation as all of those.
Totally. Prestige TV.
Yeah.
Incredible storytelling. The acting in the show is so unbelievably fantastic, and based on a video game, and they took a lot of those video game actors and put them in the show, which is a cool Easter egg to know, like that, like in the episode with Melanie Linsky, the guy who plays her like second in command actually played Joel's brother in the video game.
And on this most recent episode 8, one of the guys who plays one of the people from this cult. Wait, but
no spoilers.
I'm going to spoil some stuff.
Oh, okay.
So
careful.
I just want to speak freely.
Okay.
So if you don't want to hear about Last of Us, skip this part, episode 8, because I'm going to just speak freely starting.
That's
now.
Too long. That was too long.
Okay.
I hated that pause. That made me nervous. I feel sick. I'm going to throw up. That was too long. People just stopped listening.
You think it was too long?
Yes.
It felt 2 beats too long.
Oh my God, it was so long. Jesus Christ, I just broke into a sweat. Where's that joint?
Okay, can I do it one?
Hand me the
joint. I'm going
joint.
to do one more starting now.
No, you got it. We're just going with it. I will jump in and remove 20 seconds of that pause before we drop this.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
Jesus. The guy who's a part of the cult in this episode is he plays Joel in the series. Which is really, really cool, fun Easter egg because he was great on the show. Are you looking for a lighter?
I'm looking for a lighter. I don't know where it is. Okay, just keep talking. I can't stand the silence.
So I think that this is the first TV show in a very long time when I have felt like deep emotional connection to the characters. And usually I would be super mad that there's not enough like zombies for me and there's not enough terrifying things around the corner. But in a show like this, where like you said, man is actually the evil in this show. Humanity are the bad people. This cordyceps, it's just trying to survive like anything else, but it's not making any like choices to be evil. Right. Where man is kind of like talking themselves around it, so it's okay to be evil.
Yeah, it's the humans that are scary for sure. And in this episode in particular, it's the scary human who actually talks about how the cordyceps fungus is love in effect, and it's just trying to live, and it's just trying to propagate, and it's just trying to survive, and that's a beautiful thing. When
but he was equating it to why it's okay that he's a pedophile.
Yeah, for sure, or a rapist, or whatever the fuck. We didn't get too much of his backstory.
It's inferred pretty strongly.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking awful.
So it was a terrifying episode.
It was very scary. Ellie, Bella Ramsey, fully like achieved the pinnacle of like her story. I mean, I know we have another episode to go, but like she really reached a new level of amazingness. Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was a great app.
How do you feel with all of your TikToks and Instagrams for your new series, It's the Mayo for Me? How do you feel about watching somebody like Bella taking an axe to these old men who are trying to like child bride her and tell her that you need my help, you can't do this without me, you're not strong enough, and then she takes a fucking knife to their neck and lets the world know?
Are you talking just about feminism and how
are there layers of that in this for you?
I mean, yeah, feminist rage is something that I think most women have felt, even if they don't identify as feminists. Like just the rage of being a woman and being told how to behave and what to do and being oppressed and controlled and all that kind of stuff, for sure. In many different little micro and macro levels. Obviously, it was the most extreme example of that with Bella, where she was being restrained and then possibly was going to be murdered by these people. So yeah, that rage, of course I identify with it. But like, I think that most of what I'm trying to do with the sandwich series is be like lighthearted and engage people in conversation and talk about making sandwiches. And so I'm not trying to bring that same pure fire and blood. But for sure, it simmers, I think, in general, like, I mean, I think that's something that some dudes don't necessarily understand, is that like that is that feeling, that rage is just background for a lot of people who are existing in a world where they feel like held back by the general sort of like systemic, patriarchy, which I know is like a word that a lot of people are like, oh God, whatever. But it is. It's a male dominated system that works in favor of certain people, especially white men. And so yeah, there's a lot to be mad about. But I'm not trying to be mad. I'm having a great time making sandwiches, people. It's the Mayo for me. Check it out.
The one when this episode drops is actually quite funny. It's a funny one.
Yeah,
it's very funny.
This is dropping tomorrow.
Yeah.
Happy International Women's Day, everyone. My sandwich today is in tribute to two of my favorite female comedians from Newfoundland, where I grew up, Kathy Jones and Mary Walsh, who did a bit as loud feminists years ago, where they were like, every International Women's Day, a woman crawls out of her burrow to take her rightful place in the sun. And then the international men give her a smack upside of the head until she crawls back into her burrow for another year.
Ding, 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 ding.
They're
ding,
very
ding.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, gosh. I don't even want to make jokes. I don't feel comfortable making jokes about that.
You can absolutely make jokes about it.
They're not going to be funny enough.
Well, this is the thing. We've got to I don't even know where to start with you on that. Like, if I had ever said to you, I don't want to make jokes because I don't want them to be funny enough, what would you have said to me? You would have accused me of like not wanting to play along or something, right?
Yeah. I'd be mad.
Yeah.
I'd be like, would it kill you to play along? They're just jokes.
So there you go.
Okay.
And also not would it kill you, because I think you're so like your jokes and your takes are always so funny. Like, I had such a good time laughing with you the other night because we were watching a terrible show, and I made a joke and I said, what is this woke feminist bullshit? And we were cracking up. Nobody
wants to watch that HBO Max show, whatever the band show is.
Yeah, or I think in that one we were watching Riverdale, maybe.
Oh, Riverdale's a real piece of shit.
Oh my God. But you took it so far, and you had me freaking howling about it. So I was like, maybe on the pod we're blasting out to people and having opinions about
God
things.
damn it. The first episode of Riverdale, when the one hot girl goes, thank God there's a gay best friend here. And he's like, and I'm the gay best friend. It was like something hacky like that dialogue. Yeah. Punch my fucking mouth, man. Go fuck yourself. That show is a real stinker.
It was hack. Yeah.
The Last of Us, because it's going to happen for season 2, how do you think next week is going to end? Because as it is right now, they have not reached the zone where they have to reach so that she can save the world.
They have not reached the fireflies. Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, how do you end a successful season 1 while still wanting people to come back? I can't even guess. I don't even want to guess. I've been so surprised and delighted at every turn. And obviously someone who doesn't play video games, so I really didn't know what the fuck was going to happen at all. And a lot of people who do play The Last of Us have been like, duh, if you just played it, you would, have guessed at a lot of this.
And that's so cool of them to say.
That's so cool. They're such fun people making, but so I don't even want to guess. I have no idea. I think they're going to do something awesome. I'm so glad that the actors that we have are along with us and still alive. There's another spoiler for if you're only on episode 4 or 5. I don't want to give any more spoilers.
Okay. Do you think that where she put that medicine would be an accurate, helpful place to put that medicine?
I'm guessing yes.
Okay, I am too, but I really wouldn't have thought so.
I wouldn't
like
have
in
stuck
the real world,
right into the wound like that, but clearly it worked.
Yeah, it definitely worked.
But gross. Yeah.
What do you think of Pedro as the new James Bond?
Oh, is that it being floated?
I'm floating it. I think that would be a phenomenal James Bond.
You've got great suggestions for James Bond. Didn't you want Gillian Anderson for James Bond too?
Those are my top 2, Gillian Anderson and Pedro Pascal for James Bond.
Yeah, and I think Pedro Pascal would be phenomenal. I think he would look dapper in a suit, and he would also like swing a punch real good. I want Gillian Anderson more because obviously we haven't had a female Bond, and also I think she would just be so like sexy and devious, and like fucking Mark is saying Zendaya.
Shut up, Mark.
She's
That's
too young.
crazy.
And
what are you
come on,
talking about?
What are you crazy? But yes, or Idris Elba, which I think he's been taken out of the running. I think he said he wasn't going to do it.
No, he's got a hot DJ career.
Really?
Yeah, he spins.
Jesus, what can he not do? What can't he do? What can he not do? That weed's great.
Probably eat a carb. No, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. He can do that. He can do whatever he wants. His genetics are...
He's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal, yes, definitely. But Gillian Anderson for me, above that.
Yeah. Cool.
Is it? Well, this is probably a good time for us to get to our news, right?
Okay. While you pull it up, I'm going to go like this.
Okay. Grub Gazette, brought to you by The Last of Us. This story is from the New York Times, and the headline is Whiskey Fungus Fed by Jack Daniels Encrusts a Tennessee Town.
Whoa, a drunk fung?
The dark growth fed by alcohol vapors from barrels of aging Jack Daniels whiskey has coated homes, cars, patio furniture, and road signs in a sooty crust. One woman is suing Lincoln County. So there's this ethanol-fueled fungus known as whiskey fungus, which has thrived for centuries around distilleries and bakeries. And tons of people around these Kentucky bourbon distilleries are making complaints. For months, residents have complained that this crust has blanketed homes, cars, patio furniture. Oh, patio furniture. I wonder about balcony furniture and trees. It's just everywhere. And they're saying that they can like scrape it off and it just, because it's a fungus. So, there's only so much that you can do to mitigate it, I guess. You scrape it off and then it grows right back. And people are really struggling. They're pissed. It's crusted the branches of magnolia trees. There's all sorts of like pictures on here. It's darkened like the copper roof of this couple's home and the exterior walls and crept over the rock garden. It just sounds like cordyceps fungus in Last of Us. It's, it's like just taking over.
That's real life.
Yeah. And they're, and it's interesting because we also had a question from someone named Wilhelm who DM'd us and was like, could you talk about the crop killing fungus that's going on right now, endangering cannabis crops? And we haven't actually had a chance to look too much into that, but I just thought it was so interesting that this fungus story popped up on my feed when we were going to do The Last of Us. So I wanted to talk about that, which is in the New York Times. You can read all about it. And then we'll look into the cannabis crop fungus and learn more.
So it seems like fungus is against all drugs and alcohol. If they're trying to kill weed, they're trying to kill whiskey.
But the fungus is a drug because the ergot, which is a fungus that's where LSD was originally synthesized from, and psilocybin is a fungus. So it's just anti certain kinds of drugs.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Interesting. And they also, the fungus took over that first Incubus album.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What was it called?
Fungus Among Us. So they've been around for a while.
What is a song from that album?
From Fungus Among Us? I don't know. It was a real psychedelic, trippy one, though. Mm-hmm. I'm blanking. I don't know.
Were you an Incubus fan?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
At what age?
Since the first one I knew was Pardon Me, and that was from their second album. And then I found Fungus Among Us after that because it didn't break through like their second album did. All the way up until Megalomaniac and a little bit after that. Mm-hmm. I really loved some of the stuff in the middle. So probably from when I was like 24, wow. 24, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I was doing discography math, but to figure it out, I had to think about like when I really loved them. And and I saw him live, and I also saw him on mushrooms for that live show. Yeah. Good things.
Man, seeing music when you're on, like if it's the right combination of everything, that has absolutely been my favorite way to see music.
Yeah.
Like when we were at Life is Beautiful and you and I saw Arcade Fire, and it was so perfect. And I remember at one point turning to you and seeing your face, and you were so lit up with joy. And I was like, and who's this band? And you were like, it's still Arcade Fire. And I was like, oh my God, they're so good. But this new song sounds totally different. And you were like, yep, they've got a whole bunch of them. Fantastic.
It really is. Mm-hmm. It's the best.
The joy knows no bounds.
Boy, man, every documentary I've read about, like, if the apocalypse didn't come from something man-made, like a disease or like from a meteor hitting or something, everyone says plants taking over is going to be the downfall of human society. And The Last of Us has shown that in a really great storytelling way. But stories like, an unstoppable fungus climbing all over your roof.
Yeah.
Yo, what are you going to do?
Well, and it's crazy because, I have a really good friend who had was one of those, her life was going so well. Everything, she was engaged to be married and she'd just bought her dream home and her career was on track. And all of a sudden she started getting sick and nobody knew why. And years and years and years. Turns out she has a sensitivity to black mold. And when they pulled up the carpeting and everything in her whole house was an old home. It was in the Pacific Northwest where it's super, super humid. And her house was basically made of black mold. And it had made her so sick. God. And she had to like she changed her jobs. The whole thing. She moved away. I think her relationship ended. Like there was a whole bunch of stuff where she was like, everything was put into crisis, and it was all because of this mold in her fucking house. That was the stranger within. That was the home invasion. It was the mold. She's okay now.
Good ending. Wait, this is also fucked up because I'm going to put you on. This is a creamed cornering of Mary Jane Gibson. I'm cornering you.
Getting cornered. Okay.
You're getting cornered. Mm-hmm. You don't like raw mushrooms.
I don't.
And that is so crazy. In a salad, a raw mushroom in a salad is one of the best textural components you can add to a salad.
Eating a raw mushroom in a salad is like when you have like a thick piece of skin. What's that called? A callus?
Yeah.
And you know how sometimes you can get them wet and you can like pull them off?
Yep.
And then they dry a little bit and you can put it like on the side of your sink and it's like a dry callus. Mm-hmm. That's what a mushroom is like.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So gross.
In your salad. It's like a dried out callus. Yeah, exactly. Why would I do that?
Because they taste good.
You like that earthy taste.
I mean, look, I just like, there have been multiple times where it's like, I've not gotten mushroom on pizza because I was like, you hate mushrooms. You just hate uncooked mushrooms.
Uncooked. I love a cooked mushroom. Yeah. I love a fried, sauteed, roasted, grilled, dried and reconstituted and put in a soup. Like there are any number of ways that I love mushrooms. I just like, I've even eaten handfuls of just dried psilocybin mushrooms. Like,
can we do it?
You're going to get something out of it.
Can we do a Weed and Grub poll on our story?
Yeah.
Raw dog versus aw-naw.
Yeah. Who listening to this podcast likes raw mushrooms anytime, anywhere?
Me.
Wow. What do you like about it?
Well, two things. One is I love cutting. A mushroom is my favorite thing to cut with a chef's knife. Mm-hmm. Hands fucking down. The way it glides through, the way it's tough but easy. I love running through it. And then there's just something about like, because I don't clean them off. I eat the dirt. I eat everything. I eat like the whole thing. So I feel like I'm just like a forest troll in my apartment with my weird hairy chest that is munching on the land.
Have you gone foraging?
I'd like to.
I feel like, I just can picture you like out in the Pacific Northwest forest or like the Northern California forest with a burlap sack, foraging around and like humming happily to yourself and like smelling them and just having a great time. Maybe Archie Moo would go with you to be your truffle hunter dog.
Ooh, I would love to do that.
Yeah, that sounds like a nice way to spend your time.
Yeah, like if I could do that, I mean, with our episode that we're going to be dropping here soon, I would maybe I'd go back to where we were as a little foreshadowing and be able to go foraging in a place like that.
Southeast Alaska?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Our friend Reggie Harris up in Oakland, they lead foraging groups out into nature in NorCal too. I know there are a bunch of like
I don't want to do it with a group.
Oh, yeah. You just want to go by yourself? You kind of need to go with at least one person who can sort of show you where to look. I think.
I'm not good on tours. I don't need to make new friends and talk to dudes in Teva sandals about what they do for a living while looking for mushrooms.
You're weirdly anti-group when I see you thrive in groups.
I work hard.
I know. You do so well. I see you doing it.
It's because it's my this is so gross. But one of my favorite things to do is to pretend I'm a conductor in a group and tee people up for conversation, put in a joke when I think the energy needs to be lifted. I really think of myself as this like symphony conductor in group conversations because it's really the only way I can get through it without a massive amount of anxiety a lot of second guessing myself to just say anything at all. So I have to like do a lot of pretend to get through.
Interesting. I feel like a lot of the people, yourself included, who I know who are absolutely wonderful at social gatherings and in group situations are very conscious of the anxiety that they feel and they're working against it all the time. And that's what makes them incredible. It's like resistance training, right? It's like you've lifted all the weights to like get to the place where you can just make sure that everyone's having an awesome time. I don't want to put anyone on blast here, but I can think of like 5 friends off the top of my head who are all have incredible social anxiety and are like so good at parties.
Yeah, 100%.
So shout out all of you who suffer from social anxiety and are great at parties because we see you.
Absolutely. And shout out to Austin. I'm making mistakes left and right these days, but I had brought up in a previous episode that we were going to answer Austin's question. And then I'm sure I talked about seagulls for too long or some dumb shit.
And
so we didn't even get to his question. Their question.
Yeah, we got way too wrapped up in whatever it was we were talking about and said, we're going to answer a question, and then totally didn't. I have it here. Can I read it?
Well, actually, the difference between a balcony and fire escape is the ladder. So if the ladder's not on the fire escape, technically it's a balcony.
Was that making fun of me?
No, that was like how we never get to the next thing.
Oh, okay. Do you want to talk about fire escapes more and not talk about this question?
God damn it.
Jesus, that's what happens. We were almost on track.
Hold on.
How do you feel about bobsledding?
So that's an interesting question.
Yeah. Versus luge.
I think luge is a lot harder and also a lot fancier because, you got no top on the rocket.
Yeah.
But a bobsled, I think, is actually harder because you're having to work with somebody else and you're hunched down, which instead of laying flat.
Did you know that with bobsleds, like there's one person who is just truly weight and they're not doing much other than just being an amazing sort of like lead weight in the sled, and the other person is doing all of the steering?
I didn't know that. So they're acting like a rudder, more or less.
No, not even. Like they are just weight, I think, and they might steer a little bit, but I just know that like when that bobsled goes down the hill, when it rockets out, it's like one person who's in charge of everything, and the other person just has to be awesome and trust.
That's wild.
It's kind of like this podcast, Mike.
Yes. Who's the dead weight?
I don't know. It depends on the week.
Unfortunately, it's two dead weights. The bobsled goes nowhere. It just kind of like slides down the track, rolls around.
At least it's amusing while it does it. People have a good time tuning in and watching the bobsled just spin in circles and never answer any questions that anyone ever asks us. I swear to God, though, we are productive members of society.
I bought these loofahs.
I know you did. I love them. I'm going to keep this look. I'm feeling it.
All right, what's Austin's question?
Oh, good. You got nice. He didn't buy it. He didn't take the bait of never getting back to it. Okay. Austin, thank you so much for DMing us. And Austin said, hey, in last week's pod, you and Mike were talking about how yelling and abuse is no way to run anything at all. So I think this must have been referring to our episode where we got into it about Renee Redzepi and the culture in kitchens.
Yes.
Noma in particular.
Yes.
Austin said, I was just wondering, what is your opinion on young kids being nominated for things like Razzies, which are awards that are given to the, quote, worst in the industry, related to, I guess, just like that culture of abuse and getting yelled at and being told you suck at something. That was my sidebar. Austin says, I hope this finds you in good tidings, and I love the pod. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you for writing in. Finally, we're getting to it. How do you feel about it, Mike? What's your opinion on young kids being nominated for awards like Razzies, which are telling you basically that you suck?
I think that the Razzies are fucking stupid. The internet is already hard enough. We all know Cats sucked.
Right.
We all know Judi Dench should not have done that movie that she was aching to do, supposedly.
Right.
Like the Razzies would be great if it would take the 1% down a peg and like, the way that not the State of the Union, the presidential talking thing where they make fun of the president.
Oh, the President's Dinner?
President's Dinner. If
it's
it
the
was,
White House Correspondents' Dinner, I think.
Yes. Thank you. If it's things like that where you're punching.
Speaking truth to power.
Yeah, then great. But the Razzies are some fucking bullshit. Like, you did the best you could. Your thing freaking sucks. You're trying to bury it now, and now you're going to get a Razzie for it? Like, I don't think anyone wants to hold that trophy. Anyone who plays along with it is doing it for PR and media, and not because they are like, gosh, I wish I didn't suck so fucking bad. And then Twitter already came for you 10x anyway, so now you're going to add a trophy to it? Fuck off.
Yeah. I totally, I agree. Just on everything you said, like everything is already so mean and weird. And if you're not like you said, sort of punching up or, saying like most out of touch filmmaking or like most Nepo baby something or, something where you're really like calling out something that's privileged or, overfunded when something else got overlooked. I don't really know how the Razzies work, but it is just saying this sucked so much that we're going to like call it out as sucking the most.
Right.
And that I know I think Halle Berry won a Razzie for something famously, and I actually showed up to accept it. So I know that there's like history of these being given to people who were like, famous, and they show up to be like, ha ha ha, that was a bad move or whatever. But I totally agree. And in this particular case, Austin's referring to a young actor who I think was 14 or 15, who was like nominated for a Razzie for her work. And it's like, the fuck,
I don't also like anyone who capitalizes on failure to make money and to make a name for themselves.
Right.
I don't know who created the Razzies, and maybe I'm going to be wrong about what type of people I think they are, but I don't think I am. I think you're somebody who is like a failure yourself, and then you just wanted to like bitterly creep on everyone else's failure and then try and make money doing it and calling it like a tongue-in-cheek funny faux pas in the industry every year. And it ain't. Yeah. It's some 14-year-old who is like excited about their career doing the best that they fucking can, and then you're gonna shit on it for ratings and fame.
And a great point, especially given how hard it is to get anything made. Like if you made a movie that people saw, congratulations.
Yeah.
Great job. Yeah. No matter how much it sucks, because how fucking hard is that? Like I can barely get my iCloud to put the photos that I took into the thing over. I don't know.
Where are my photos?
Where are my photos?
Where are all my photos all of a sudden?
iCloud, the crazy thing about iPhoto is that it puts them all in chronological order. So I have to go back through like months often to find something that I want to. Why?
You sent me a picture the other day. You sent me a picture the other day and I downloaded it, but it wasn't in my first slot.
Yeah.
I had to go back to 2021 to find it because that's when it was from.
Hella annoying.
Hell of annoying.
That's worse than the Razzies.
Yeah. iCloud, you're out. Got him.
Give iCloud a Razzie.
But am I a hypocrite? Because we went toe to toe on this Renee Redzepi thing, and this is one of quite a few people we've talked to about it.
Sure.
And am I a hypocrite for shitting all over the Razzies but defending Renee Redzepi?
No, can I be honest about it?
Yeah.
What I think is that you defended Renee Redzepi because of your history as someone who loves cooking and loves hockey and being an athlete, and you feel like the times that you have had constructive criticism through someone who's yelled at you, that it has helped you. Like you've experienced that, and you also see that like that's just how it works in a lot of kitchens, and so you understand like that's their striving for greatness. When the Razzies are nothing to do with constructive criticism or helping someone get better or doing anything other than like punching them in the nuts when they tried to stand up and be vulnerable and show something that they've made. So that's why I don't think you're a hypocrite. I think you're like, it's right on track with your moral and ethical code, Mike.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think you just want everyone to succeed and do well, and Razzies don't have any place in that, really. Not in today's world.
Mm-mm.
Like you're saying, like, yeah, the internet's mean. I'm getting crazy comments of like, it was really funny putting anything out about myself in video form, because I already like, it's, not the easiest thing to just like put yourself out in a video every day when it's not something I didn't grow up with social media, right? So like doing a video every day has been like, okay, someone's going to say something about me, and they definitely freaking have. And a lot of dudes want to say shit about like my hair or my weight or whatever. And I think that yeah, it's just hard when people want to be fucking mean to you when they don't even know you. So the Razzies is just like a fucking amplification of that.
Yeah.
Also, I'm knocking these guys back left and right. It's pretty great.
Man, they get madder and madder the more you aren't getting mad.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
Hey, if you haven't gone to It's the Mail for Me, just read the comments on any of them.
Don't be worried about mean comments with me, because I'm actually having a really good time telling these dudes that they can go make themselves a sandwich.
And
thank you very much.
Your emoji game is out of control.
It's actually infecting. Speak about funguses. The emoji game is infecting my whole text thread everywhere. I'm like emojis all the time. I sent you like 5 emojis in a row the other day, and you were like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I think I turned into a teenager." Smiley face, party face, fucking pizza slice. Jesus. All right. What's next?
I mean, we could get to Buds of the Week.
Well, we should do some plugs too, because we have some stuff happening.
We should do some plugs.
This is dropping Wednesday, March 8th.
Yeah.
Happy International Women's Day.
Can we call them carbs?
What?
Instead of plugs, like tour dates and stuff? I was trying to think of like a weed nickname, because I know like a plug, like you would plug the carb to hit the bowl.
Yeah.
Is carb too convoluted for dates and times?
Yeah, for me it is. Because
Okay.
I just get tired. I get like a little, like when people are like calling one thing another thing, and then I'm like, why didn't you call it the first thing? Then I would just know what that thing is.
Okay, so it's a plug.
If you don't mind. Okay. Sorry.
A lot of fun here on the Weed and Grub podcast.
Having a great time. Don't call it carbs, call it plugs. I don't understand. Otherwise, I'm too busy. My brain is too full.
The most literal weed comedy podcast you can tune into.
My brain is too full. Oh my God. Okay. Sorry. Plugs.
So the day this drops, I have my show at the Comedy Store Glazers After Party. There's 4 tickets left. Last I looked before this recording, so it's probably sold out. But there is always tickets at the door. Roy Scovel, Paul Walter Hauser, Lisa Curry, who's about to go to Anchorage.
Hell yeah.
With the Daily Show team.
Great.
Big moves there. Jesus Trejo and Alex Hooper are on that show. That's March 8th. March 18th, I'm at the UCB Theater with a great show called Make That Sandwich. It's me, Salt Hank, and Lindsay Ames is the host, and it's going to be her birthday celebration. So come to the UCB Theater 318, 324. I'm doing a celebrity charity comedy benefit with some cooks from Food Network. We're raising as much money as possible to get rid of food deserts. And if you can't make it to the event on 324, or it's just too expensive because I think it's like $1,000 a plate.
Holy moly.
You can always go to my Instagram and just donate whatever you can to help food deserts. It's every little thing goes towards a kid not having to eat a Twinkie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then March 30th, 3:30, we already talked about it, but it's going to be pretty cool. 2 shows, 7:30, 9:45. March 30th, I'm going to record my first album. I'm going to just call it out here. The title is going to be called Validation. It is going to be called Validation because the whole show is about love versus validation. And I'm very excited, and I hope that it sells out, and I'm going to do the best I can.
It's going to be fucking awesome. And I know that because I've seen you do almost all the material at this point, I think. I'm sure there's going to be stuff that I haven't seen, but it's so fucking solid and funny and good and real and cool and funny and vulnerable and funny.
Thank you.
And awesome and funny.
Thank you, Mary Jane.
Yeah.
And then we have a couple of dates coming up as well.
420 at the Ice House in Pasadena, Weed and Grub Live. I think are 9:30.
9:30.
We'll have tickets in our bio closer to that time. Maybe some other live shows. We're working on getting booked in a few places and getting some announcements going.
Mm-hmm. In the QZ.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to do a couple shows in the QZ.
Yeah, let's go to the QZ and get some shows going. Yeah, I mean, this year already feels like, it's only the beginning of March. We've only had a couple of months, but it already feels energetically like a lot is in the flow and a lot is happening for us. Like we just had an awesome trip that will be, our whole next week's app will be dedicated to our time in Alaska. Your album.
You're about to jump into
shows.
This big fellowship.
I'm doing a cannabis media fellowship with the University of Vermont. Yeah. So this just like, there's a lot in flux and flow. And just, I feel great about it. And I'm really excited to keep rocking with you, Mike.
You too, Mary Jane.
Thanks.
I'd also like to say sorry about that long pause. And also, when you were talking about iCloud Photo, I just interrupted you and repeated the same thing you said.
I'm so guilty of doing that to you all the time, though. So good call out, but that's both of us.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're both infected.
Oh, yeah. We are both absolutely infected. You want to do Buds of the Week?
Let's do Buds of the Week.
For my Bud of the Week, I actually need you to pull up your Bud of the Week because this Bud of the Week that I'm going to shout out DM'd you.
He did, but we all partied together at Edinburgh together. Yeah. And he's a wild man.
It's our friend Sven.
Yeah.
So I met Sven. I'm making him my Bud of the Week because when you said he DM'd you, I was like, oh, but he's my friend too. He's at Sven Lidman on Instagram, and he is a fascinating human who has just been like traveling around the world doing crazy, cool, adventuresome stuff. We met him when he was flying for you at the Edinburgh Fringe. He had just come from, I think, somewhere abroad, like Nepal or somewhere like that.
Yeah, where he was trying mad honey.
He'd been, adventuring all, and then he was, I think, going to Southeast Asia from there. And he's just an adventuresome, fun, cool person who always had his energy was like a spark of light that would like swoop into the crowd and like light everyone back up if you were feeling like you'd kind of like flagged a little bit. He was the thing that would like pop everyone back into action. So fun, so cool. Shout out Sven.
Yeah, shout out Sven. And he had DM'd me at Sven Lidman and said, I'm really enjoying the podcast. Just started listening to it, and I'm listening to the debate about The Last of Us. And I go, I think it's anti-psychedelic propaganda. And he said, yeah, but to be fair, I do see what you mean, but I don't think that's what they're talking about.
Got it.
And then he said, I definitely see right-wingers going on to protest something like that and using The Last of Us as propaganda.
Nobody's going to use The Last of Us as propaganda, I hope. That would be insane if anyone did try.
And then he sent me a link, because he's the man, to a BBC Studio YouTube video called Cordyceps, Attack of the Killer Fungi on Planet Earth with David Attenborough.
We'll watch.
Narrating 11 million views. And he was like, check this out if you're into the fungus tip, which obviously we are because we're covered in it.
This feels like Sven should have been your butt of the week. What's up, Sven? Who's your butt of the week, Mike?
Damn it. My butt of the week is bone dry comedy. So shout out Billy Anderson. He's been on the show a bunch. He created the Gateway Show, and we did 4 sold out Gateway shows in Montana, 4 cities, 4 nights. 4 packed houses, thanks to Billy Anderson and the Gateway Show, and in association with Alex in Montana, who created his own production company called Bone Dry Comedy, and it is taking Montana by storm. So Gateway got to go out because of Bone Dry Comedy. They're also bringing in people like Matt Bronger. They're working on Kyle Kinane. Alex is also a great comedian himself. And so if you are in Montana, the Montana area, or you want to tour to Montana, get a hold of Bone Dry Comedy at Bone Dry Comedy. Reach out to Alex, and he will set you up because he's building a hell of a following out there.
It sounded like such an amazing tour. I was following you on Instagram, going from Billings to Bozeman to
Missoula to Helena.
Yeah. Freaking amazing. That's rad. Montana's the only state that I've ever gotten a speeding ticket in, and I was doing 100.
You were?
Yeah. And the cop pulled us over and asked us if we knew what speed we'd been going. And I was like, no. And then he was like, it was 100. And I was like, okay. And then he said, if I just paid him in cash right then and there, he would let it go. So I just handed him cash and he didn't write me a ticket.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
How much cash?
I think I gave him $100.
$100 for him.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about all of that? Because I am equally happy for you and furious about a cop who's doing mob shakedowns.
I felt good about it because I didn't get a speeding ticket.
100%.
So I felt fine.
Were you going 100?
Oh, yeah, I was definitely speeding.
Okay.
I was like, I thought there wasn't a speed limit here. And he was like, you are wrong. Give me money. I mean, whatever. Totally corrupt. But I got away without a speeding ticket. So I felt pretty good about that.
Mm-hmm. Nice. In that case, congrats.
Thanks.
Wow. Everyone's going to, because we didn't. Do we have time to get to it real quick?
What?
How I got yelled at for privilege.
Oh, your immense privilege. Yes, absolutely. Let's get to it.
Everyone's going to listen to that and be like, wow,
fucking
Mary
privilege.
Jane's privilege.
Absolutely. I'm 100% getting pulled over and getting away scot-free just by handing over cash is so fucking privileged. Totally recognize that. What happened to you, Mike?
Also, sometimes privilege is okay unless you get ratioed on TikTok.
Well, okay.
I got fucking worked on TikTok.
Yeah. You were coming back from Vegas, sitting on a plane.
So the TikTok version of the story is very different than the real version. I wasn't at my best on TikTok. The real version is I went from 4 cities in Montana down to LA, over to Vegas, Vegas back to LA, LA up to Seattle, Seattle to Alaska, Alaska back to Seattle, Seattle to LA last night. Mm-hmm. Like I've been fucking on the road. And on the way from Vegas to LA at like 4:30 in the morning to meet with you to go to Alaska, this fucking doof had both window shades open next to himself in the airplane. Mm-hmm. Through one of them, he was looking down and enjoying the view on the way from Vegas to LA. Through the other window next to him, the sun was pouring through it into my hungover eyes, into the person across the aisles from me hungover eyes, all of us at 4:30. And I just look at him.
Fourth was bright sun and
bright. Okay. No. Oh no. I woke up at 4:30, closer to 7.
Okay, good.
Sorry. Closer to 7. And so, haggard, I look at him, the sun is in my eyes from that second window. And I say, hey man, would you mind lowering that shade so that we can sleep for this hour? And he says to me with his slack-jawed bullshit mouth, I'm enjoying the view. Mm-hmm. It drove me nuts. I sobered up immediately. And then I went on TikTok and I just did this quick, stupid TikTok where I said, this dumb bitch wouldn't lower the shade. It's common courtesy if someone asks and they can't see to lower the shade. Dumb bitch. The view of the sky, there's clouds under us. You couldn't even see anything down below. Look up, look down. All you can see is us. Like, fuck you, dumb bitch. Da, da, da. And then everyone came for me and was like, you should cover your own eyes. This screams privilege. You asking someone to do something and them not doing it doesn't mean that they're a dumb bitch. Handle yourself.
You said dumb bitch a lot.
This is how I felt and I still feel. And then by the end of it, I realized that my TikTok was not contextually accurate. What happened was I felt like none of us could see. And then common courtesy would say, shut that blind. You still have the other one to look out of.
Right. You're looking down one next to your shoulder, and then there's one directly ahead of you that you could close and save all of our eyeballs from this slanting sun.
Exactly.
Right.
And instead,
when you explained it to me, and I totally was on your side, but just watching the TikTok, I can totally get the people would be like, okay, you said dumb bitch a lot, and maybe just take care of yourself.
You look like shit. You're very hungover and you're complaining. Completely agree.
It's so funny.
Did it need a stitch?
By some guy who was like, this guy's so privileged. I like the view.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very clear example of the difference between, the context of real life and a little social media clip. Because if you have the real story, I'm on your side. From the TikTok, I'm absolutely against.
Well, maybe can we before I delete it, because I don't need to live that life and it's my account, let's put the TikTok in the show notes.
Sure.
So people understand how off the mark I am. But in real life, you do think he could have closed that second window.
Oh, absolutely. Because he had his own view that he could see without even worrying about closing that. Like he could have had a view and closed the thing.
Yep.
He could have the best of both worlds. But got it.
Got it. Okay.
Well, we worked that one out here.
We really did. I love that this podcast has ultimately become just like Glazer's mistakes.
No way. It's
balconies.
It's weed and grub and like holding ourselves accountable for how we act in the world.
We're doing our best, man.
We are. We sure are.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for hanging with us. This week, we've got a really fun app next week. Please tune in for our adventures in Southeast Alaska. Follow us at Weed and Grub on Instagram. Email us at wg@weedandgrub.com.
At Mike and Mary Jane on TikTok.
And our personal handles, I'm just currently making sandwiches at It's the Mayo for Me.
And I am at Bert Kreischer Machine. If you want to leave a review for Weed and Grub this year, I have made it my mission to take Kreischer's spot in the podcast realm. I want to bump him out of top 10 or whatever it is.
I mean, it's a worthy goal. Thank you, everyone. And thanks, as always, producer Mark here at Petticash Studios, and for Archie for coming.
Yeah, shout out to Archie
Moo.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.